Okay, we're going to cover the worksheet that you just went over for your English 1020 class to get some sort of familiarity with library resources. If you go to the first question or the first number there, it asks you to list some pieces of information about the library and its resources. Anything on this page was fair game for that number. One of the things you might notice on the left-hand side is the chat box. So you can chat with us when the library is open. There's a librarian there who can answer a chat question. We do give some preference to people who are physically in front of us. On the right-hand side, you can see the library hours, and so those are updated, and that's handy to know that it's there, especially during breaks and finals weeks and other odd times that we tend to change those hours. You can see here the Edible Book Festival being advertised, and so we will put some things in there that may be of relevance, some events or things going on associated with the library that you might want to know about. Importantly, on the left-hand side where it says Quick Links, you have library guides, reserve a study room, so that's all the study rooms in the back of the library, and I'll show you that for just a sec. If you click on reserve a study room, you'll see that you get brought to a page where you can then go in and read the instructions on how to reserve a study room. So you would then just click here and you would go in and see which rooms are available and book a time. So those are just a few of the useful things. You may have found some other useful items on this page as well. You can see here, these are our 6 librarians. This is me, Richard, and I'd be glad to help you anytime you have a question or issue. The second thing that you were asked to do was to do a search in the main search box. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what that should have looked like for you. You see how it says everything, articles, and books? We're just going to be looking for books today. And I know that I want the book All Quiet on the Western Front. So I'm going to type the title. You can type an author in here. You can type a subject in there. There's a number of different ways that you can do the searches to find what you need. And then you see here where it says J.W. Charlotte General Collection. So that means it's going to be out in front of the library. And this is called a Library of Congress call number. And it looks like a little bit confusing with so many numbers and letters there, but it's really alphabetical and then numerical. So you would go A, B, C, D until you get to P, and then T, and then the number 2635, and then E would be the next line down. So you know, E67 and then E68 would come next, and so forth. So that's how you would locate it. And you can always grab a librarian if you're confused about that. Notice this next book that happened to come up. See how it says Access Online? That means it's an e-book, actually, not a physical book. So for that, you'd simply click Access Online, and that's going to take you to the full text of the book. So here you see PDF full text, and I'm going to click on that, and it's going to actually take me into the contents of the ebook. Now, the nice thing about these ebooks is that we have a massive collection of them. There are a couple 100,000 ebooks available compared to the 30,000 or so physical books in the library. And you can access them 24/7 anywhere that you have internet access. And you can search within these books. You can jump ahead to specific parts within the books very easily. So definitely something to be aware of. And it's still resolving itself there, but I'm going to jump ahead to the next question, which is what is a database? And I'm going to give you a simple way to find a definition. So Google's not something that we tell people never to use. Google is a good source. It's got some good tools in it, and for wide searches, it's really good. You definitely want to be focused on the library databases for your academic assignments. But if we do this, define, and then database in Google, it's going to give us a definition. And the definition is a structured set of data held in a computer, especially one that is accessible in various ways. So hopefully you had something similar to that on your worksheet. The other thing that you can do from the library homepage is click on databases and get into the library databases. And this is a really important feature because, again, what you see in the library is very, very tiny compared to what we actually have available through these databases. So I'm going to click on C for Credo, and it's worth it to just kind of thumb through what's available here. But if I click on Credo Reference, I'm actually accessing what would have been the old school sort of reference collection with basic resources. So this is a really good place to go to start your search. And if you do a search in here, and let's say we do Generation Y, it's going to give us a link to, in this case, a topic page. Not everything's going to have a topic page that has everything else organized under it with other articles. But in this case, you can see there is, from the Encyclopedia of Sports Management and Marketing, a definition of Generation Y, which would be a very good definition to use if you were doing a paper or an assignment for a class. Another nice feature of Credo is that if you click on this button right here, you can cite the article in MLA. So now you've got it right there, and you can simply cut and paste right into your Word document, and you've got your citation. So Credo is a great source for starting out because, again, it's equivalent to the old big reference collection that you would see in any library. One of the other databases that we're going to take a quick look at here is Academic Search Complete, and you'll see this near the very top. The reason why we like to show this one so much, if you read the text underneath, it has 8,600 journal titles covering all kinds of topics. So it may not be the best database for a specific topic that you have, but it's a good general database where you can find anything or something on just about any topic. So what I'm going to do here is type gender gap. And hopefully you all saw this in your results. So I'm getting 4,529 results. That's going to vary from day to day as they add records, of course. But I got a decent number of articles. What happens if I put this in parentheses? It narrows it down considerably. And the reason it narrows it down is because it's now looking at gender gap together. So it has to have, the article has to have gender gap. It can't have gender and then a few words and then gap. Has to have gender gap. Okay, so that's important to know when you're looking for something very specific and you need to narrow things down. Now, let's say we're interested in gender gap and salary, like your example that you had. So we do gender gap and salary. What this is called is a Boolean search. It's when you use more than one search term. And so this Boolean search then narrows it further to articles that cover gender gap and salary. So that's why your results became even lower. Now, a couple of things here. One element of the databases is the ability to narrow your topic, narrow your sources. So some of these items are just indexed. So let's limit to full text. We'll get rid of anything that's not full text. So that cut it down considerably. And let's say your instructor said that they don't want anything that's older than 2002. So we got rid of a little bit there too. But now we know we're dealing with more recent articles. We're dealing with full text. And then if you click in any one of these, really, any one of these articles, you're going to get a variety of information. So you can click the title and you get these subject terms that you can search on too by clicking on them, which is really interesting. But this is your source information. So this tells you it comes from Feminist Economics, the October 2015 edition, volume 21, issue 4, the pages it's on, so forth. So that's really important to know. And then here you have your full text that you could bring up. Okay. And then the other element in any EBSCO database is this really cool Cite button like we saw in Credo. So if you click on Cite and then you scroll down to MLA, you have your MLA citation right there. So you can cut and paste that in. I will warn you that you do need to check these sometimes because they don't necessarily always come out perfect. So you'll want to go to, in that case, the library homepage and use some of our resources to check the citation. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So 3 ways that you can limit search in a database. You should be able to do that now. And some of these items again are adding search terms, uh, doing a full text search. If you hit these drop down menus here, you can search by a number of specific items, the author, the title, the source, and so forth. So hopefully that gives you some idea, and this is going to give you the better resources when you're doing your assignments and papers. Now, I mentioned citations. We have citation help on our main page, and I hope that you'll take advantage of it. So for instance, most classes require MLA citations at Johnson & Wales. So if you click on MLA, you'll get this citation guide, and you can get in here and you can pull up how to cite different sources. Now, I will tell you that we also have a short handout that you can take, and then we have something you can get to real easily. Anybody can use is the OWL citations from Purdue University, and they just do a fantastic job with their site, and so we have no problem recommending their site to look at sources and citations as well. So go ahead and check your citations based on what you see in these sources. That's the best thing to do before you turn anything in. One other part of what you're supposed to be looking at is whether or not you're understanding what is available to you for databases. And so I'm going to go back to this page again. That's the library homepage, and click on database links. And you'll see there's 67 databases, so it's kind of overwhelming for just about anybody, faculty and librarians even. But you'll see where, for instance, CQ Researcher contains comprehensive reporting and analysis on issues in the news. So this is good for controversial issues. Communication sources. Let's say you're dealing with something that has a communication issue related to your research. You can get directly into some of the ebook collections this way. We have a Films on Demand collection. I'll just click on that for a moment. And Films on Demand will give you access to 18,000 videos on a variety of topics. So this is something to just make yourself familiar with. Some of the other questions that you had to deal with today: what is fake news, and are all sources of news biased? Essentially, what we're looking for is for you to realize that yes, there is bias in news. However, there are some good news sources out there that are generally balanced and don't intend to mislead. For instance, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, CNN, these types of sources will provide you with real, true information. Now, they may still be slightly biased, but their intent is to inform. The big problem that we've had in recent times is that there are a lot of sources that exist out there that are intended to simply mislead you. And so you just need to be careful about that. And so lastly, I would just say if you have any questions about the library, you can click on my picture on the library homepage, or you could just take down my email, which is simply richard.moniz, M-O-N-I-Z, at jwu.edu, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may still have. We really hope you use the library. We really hope that you come and see us and take advantage of the help that you can get.